Also, we'd like to wish good luck to Miss Evelyn Spearman, who's recovering at Terrebonne General Medical Center. She's an avid watcher of Bayou Time, and she's been hospitalized for a few days. And she is in her room and hopefully watching Bayou Time tonight. So, Miss Spearman, we love you. We hope you get better soon, and then you could watch from the confines of your own comfortable home. So get better soon. All right, let's turn our attention once again to Thibodaux. Let's turn our attention once again to a hit and run in Terrebonne Parish. Open up the phone lines, 879-1231. And, I just got words can't describe what took place in Thibodaux, Louisiana. And I was reporting a story on the Hebert case, which also fell into Cam Morvant's jurisdiction as District Attorney of Lafourche Parish several years ago, saying the same thing. How can something like this happen in Thibodaux? I'm connected to Thibodaux. I was born in Thibodaux. I got cousins all over the place in Thibodaux. I got friends all over the place in Thibodaux. It don't happen in Thibodaux. It doesn't happen in Houma. This kind of thing does not take place in our hometowns, but it does. And I guess what I'm looking for you tonight is to tell me why. What is happening? What is going wrong? What is taking place to where a stepdad can kill his stepson? It's bad enough. And don't mistake what I'm about to say. It's bad enough that you could even do the act. But to do it in the way that it was done, I don't get it. It just don't register on my wavelength how that could even be done. What do you think? What do you think in the public? 879-1231. Let's start the conversation. And secondly, a hit and run. How can you hit someone and leave them for dead in a ditch when you know that in broad daylight that you've just hit them? Where's your conscience at? And I hope you're watching tonight, and I hope I'm working on your conscience, because you really ought to turn yourself in. HTV, welcome to Bayou Time. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
I'm going to try and hold my composure.
All right.
Till I say what I have to say.
Yes.
I own that building where that little this happened to Joey. It was his daddy. It wasn't stepdaddy.
Okay.
And the one thing I'm asking the public, I know everybody's nice. They're bringing angels. They're bringing little bears and flowers. Please don't bring any candles. That's a fire hazard. We've had enough terrible things that happened there. We don't need the building burning. And as far as his father, Jerry, what I saw, I've been renting this place since May. This man, I could have never told. Saturday, I would have said, you couldn't have had a more loving father than him. He took the milk and fed this child through a tube in his stomach. He changed this child. He babysat the child where Jaslyn went to work. I, for one, cannot believe he did this. And it's hurting me because when I'd go there, we're fixing the other apartment up because it's a duplex. The little boy, he loved the attention. You talk to the child, he was all in laughter. He was a precious child. But I just don't want people bringing candles where there's a possibility it may catch fire.
Let me ask you something. Unfortunately, in this case, he will be judged for his last act, and that was a horrific murder. But did you see anything in this that this could happen? I know you said he was a nice, caring person, but anything at the end that maybe gave you any kind of sign that this could be happening?
Jerry and Jaslyn got into their little arguments. Okay? I never saw him abusive toward the child. I will not repeat hearsay because
I agree.
Her mother has told me stuff. The stepfather has told me stuff. Other people has told me stuff. I cannot honestly say this occurred. Now, here, Jaslyn and Jerry had their moments, but I'm going to be honest with you. Not one person, not one married couple cannot say they never had their moments, that they had a disagreement.
Everybody has their moments.
You know,
yeah. But
I didn't
nothing.
see it, but when they moved there, she did tell me he was in a mental institution. You know, and she worried if I had any objections. And I told her no.
Okay.
That, you know, the man had gone to a mental institution. He was in the National Guard, that she babysat. And during the summertime, the people moved away. She got another job. This man sat with this baby.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got there yesterday, and the police came and told us we couldn't even go to the other apartment, you know, well, what's going on? They didn't tell us anything. It was through word of mouth we heard, and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Because this man carried this child. As you saw, there is a wheelchair ramp on the building. The mother used the wheelchair ramp to put the child on the school bus. They had a special bus that picked up the child.
He obviously just reached a breaking point for whatever reason.
My personal feelings, and maybe it might help somebody else, I think this young couple had too much on their shoulders. They had this mentally handicapped child with very little help. They had no relief. No one came and babysat this child. No one took this child for one day. Other than the child going to school, I saw nothing other than Jerry and Jaslyn taking care of this little boy.
Well, obviously the pressures somehow, we don't know once again why, we weren't in his head. Somehow they got to the point where he committed the heinous crime. But we appreciate you calling, and certainly I think you made your point. You don't want any candles there. But
I just want to prevent a fire.
I understand. And we thank you for calling.
And look, I've been praying. It's tearing me up. Mm-hmm. It's tearing me up because this was a little precious child, and he did not deserve it.
Absolutely. You're right about that.
He did not deserve it, and I know the mother's hurting, the family's hurting. And I see the pictures of Jerry. I can't believe what I see.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, and our prayers are with you, too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. HTV, welcome to Bayou Time. Your comment tonight, please.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Okay. Well, first of all, this has been disturbing me since I saw it in the newspaper this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe that someone would do something so heinous to a child. I have a neighbor, and he told me that he knows the father of her, and she has 9 other children, and that she has been on drugs very heavily.
Well, I don't want to get into too much speculation here because we don't...
No, I understand that. I understand that. But from what I was told by my neighbor, she was going to be arrested.
Well, but once again, and I just look, I realize everybody hears things, and look, in the news business, we hear them a lot too, but I preach around here all the time. Unless you heard it or saw it from the actual person, it just becomes a he said, she said,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's very
you're
tough.
right, you're
So
right,
we
you're
got
right, Martin.
we got to
You
try
are
to hold that down,
exactly
because
right.
this could, I mean, this still has to go through the Thibodeau court system and through your district attorney, Cam Morvant, and trust me, he has had his
Well,
own
they'll find
horrific
out.
time
They'll
with
find
cases.
out.
Yeah.
You know,
Look,
if it's true, if it's true.
If anybody can get to
Yep.
the truth, I promise you, between the Thibodeau Police Department, and I want to make a point here, because one of the reporters asked if the Thibodeau Police Department are going to seek the death penalty. Well, they're going to do the methodical investigation, and they're going to turn that over to the district attorney, and he's going to determine whether or not the death penalty is going to be sought. But I'm sure Mr. Morvant will meet with the families, will meet with everybody. Look, trust me, if I know anybody will do everything possible to get the facts and make the right decision, it will be
needs
him.
to be done, Martin. That's what needs to be
Yeah,
done.
it will be him. Look, he's got experience in this
really
field.
made me sick.
So anyway, but just a word of caution, just if you don't hear it from the actual source, you may want to keep it to yourself, though.
Well, this comes from a very good source, because this came from the father,
Okay.
her father.
Okay.
Her father told this to my neighbor. It's a client of his.
Well, but you see, I don't mind the father, but the father told it to your neighbor, who told it to you. Now, if the father would have told it to you.
Yeah, hearsay, hearsay,
Okay.
hearsay.
All right. All right. But thank you for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. And look, I'm not trying to give the lady a rough time. She's obviously telling me what she knows, but remember, it's just like when we cover news stories. If we don't get the press release, sure, we do our own investigative reports, but there's 2 or 3 sources behind everything that we report. Unless we go to a qualified press release from an authority, like the police or the district attorney, anyone who's involved in it. So we just urge the community to don't always believe everything you hear. A lot of what you hear is true. It's going to be true. But it's that 20 or 30 or 40% that's not true that circulates, that starts the rumor mill, and it leaves victims all in its path because it's really not true what you're hearing. What we're going to do, let me take a break. All the phone lines are lit up. We're going to come right back to you. I just want to urge you also, with all the bad news, right at the end of my time here before sports, I'm going to bring you to Judge Jerome Barbera's courtroom, where the National Council for DWI Courts gave a leadership award, which is a national award. And the recipient for 2011 was Thad Toops. Of course, you may know his family. You know Miss Ellie, who was a teacher for many years, and 2 of his daughters were there. His other sons are in North Carolina, and they're working. But his 2 daughters and his wife were there as he received it, along with the district attorney and Justice John Weimer and others who were there. So Thad Toops, very deserving of an award. We're going to show that a little later on in the program. When we come back, though, all the phone lines are lit up, and obviously a lot of people want to talk about a great young child, special child, who was murdered in Thibodeau. We'll be right back.